Um, so if you're in pretty much any fandom space or read fanfiction in any form, right now you're probably hearing about the large amount of Wattpad users migrating to other spaces such as Tumblr and AO3, and there's a lot of controversy around it. And now, I think it's important to address my own biases before we have this discussion. For the most part, I am pretty anti censorship, and I'm not saying that, oh, well, we should get rid of censorship in all spaces, even kids' spaces. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there is a time and a place where content should be restriction, i.e., taboo topics, especially in spaces geared toward younger audience. But let me make it very clear that I think most fandom spaces, heavy emphasis on the word most, implying that there is nuance to this statement, are not a place for censorship to run rampant. Most fandom spaces are geared to a more mature audience, one that can handle complex ideas and potentially scandalous topics. Therefore, they should be able to discuss and explore these topics, especially in a much safer manner, such as writing about fictional worlds and about people who aren't real. So why are Wattpad users so upset about the content on AO3? For the most part, it can be boiled down to the fact that there are fanfics that explore taboo topics such as incest, SA, and more. Many Wattpad users who have recently migrated believe that these fics should be removed and that these topics overall should be banned from the site. When it's and it's understandable to feel uncomfortable, especially when coming across that kind of content when you weren't intending to. That is completely within a person's right to feel that way. And by no means am I defending the ideas presented by these works. I do have the basic decency to understand that the actions and ideas portrayed in these works are bad and harmful. But at the same time, I don't believe this gives users the right to critique, call out, and harass authors for the work that they publish to AO3. Quite literally, AO3 was created to be a space for people to write whatever the hell they wanted while still having some security. This includes taboo topics, but it also includes everyone's favorite genres such as fluff, wump, and angst, and more. So, as expected, many authors took that liberty and ran, using the site for what it was intended for. I view it as a kind of fork found in the kitchen way. Giving people that freedom to use however they want, it is to be expected that people are going to use it however they want. Another point that many people bring up is that these works can be harmful, especially to a younger audience. But let me remind you that most fandom spaces are geared to a mature audience. The author can't control who consumes their content, that's up to the readers. And if they were so worried about children, they shouldn't be going after fanfic writers. They should be going after the parents who aren't paying enough attention to the content their kids consume. It's like getting upset at the author of a book because a 10-year-old picked up an adult romance book and read smut in the middle of Target. Like, the parents should be the one to prevent their kids from going into the adult romance section in the first place. Okay? That's not their fault. And yes, this content can be harmful, especially to someone who is in a bad headspace. It does have its effects on a person, but it can be important to read things and be exposed to content that does make you uncomfortable. It allows you to explore new perspectives and the unsavory parts of humanity, which are a reality for a lot of people. It can be helpful to understand and build empathy for victims and those who are actively struggling and trying to get better. I want people to also recognize that AO3 isn't the only place where taboo topics are explored and presented to a large audience. Topics such as incest exist in our history books that are being taught to middle schoolers and high schoolers around the world. Not to mention, popular media such as Game of Thrones or On High School Host Club even touch on controversial topics as well. And yet, we all recognize the fact that yes, this is wrong, but thousands enjoy the content anyway while recognizing that fact at the same time. Hundreds of movies, books, plays, and more have discussed SA as a topic, but should those forms of media be banned and removed from public access because of it? No. By hiding the content and not talking about it, you diminish the real life experiences of everybody who has suffered. So what if someone is using their favorite character to process the tragedy that happened to them? Then what is so wrong with that? I also think that so many people forgot about the idea of scrolling past content they don't like. Like, nobody is forcing people into reading controversial works. And that's the whole reason why the tax system and filtration system exist in the first place. All in all, I understand why AO3 users are upset. Having people come into a safe place and then calling you a freak and all these other rude things, even though that's literally what it's made for, is frustrating. I think people need to think just a little more about why certain things exist and what their intended audience is, as well as getting comfortable with the idea that some content will make you uncomfortable, and the best you can do sometimes is just continue on with your day. But if anyone disagrees, feel free to let me know peacefully at that. Because everyone is bound to have different opinions based on their own experiences and belief, and those are all important to recognize too. I hope you enjoyed my rambling, and goodbye.